Arrival and the begging it was a quiet night in the countryside. The sky was clear, the stars shining bright above the dark trees. Nothing moved except the wind and the grass. Then, suddenly, the silence broke. A strange sound cut through the air. Like a sharp whistle, a flash of light passed over the sky. Too fast to be a plane, and then a deep crash echoed from the woods. Shaking the ground slightly, Ethan, a young man living alone in a small cabin nearby, stepped outside. He looked up, confused, then toward the forest where the crash came from. Smoke was rising, glowing orange behind the trees. He grabbed his flashlight and jacket, his heart already beating fast. He didn't know why. But something inside told him this night would change everything. Ethan followed the path into the woods. The closer he got, the stranger the air felt. It was thick, like breathing fog, and full of quiet static. His flashlight flickered, then came back on. He kept walking, careful not to make noise. Then he saw it in a small clearing. A silver object was stuck in the ground. It was shaped like a teardrop, cracked open on one side, steaming and humming. Pieces of strange metal and glowing dust were scattered around. Near the wreck, two figures were lying on the ground. They were small, thin, and wearing dark suits that looked like they were made of liquid. Their skin was pale, almost silver, and their eyes were closed. Ethan stepped closer, unsure if they were alive. Suddenly, one of them moved. She opened her eyes, which glowed softly in the dark. She gasped, looked around, and then locked eyes with him. "Please," she whispered, her voice weak and soft. "We'll be good, human. Just let us stay." Ethan froze. He didn't know what to say. The other figure, another girl, clearly her sister, slowly sat up. She grabbed the first one's hand and whispered something in a language Ethan couldn't understand. Then she looked at him too, her eyes shining with fear. "Please don't tell anyone," she said. "We're not here to hurt you." Ethan was still silent. His mind was racing. They weren't monsters. They looked scared, weak, and desperate. "What are you?" he asked finally. "We are sisters," the first one said. "We escaped. They're coming. Please, just let us stay." He looked around. No one else had come. No helicopters, no soldiers, no reporters. Just him, the stars, and two strange beings begging for help. He took a deep breath, then stepped forward and held out his hand. "Can you walk?" The older sister nodded slowly, helping the younger one to stand. They stumbled a little, but with his help, they managed to move. Ethan didn't know if he was doing the right thing, but he knew one thing for sure: whatever they were running from, it wasn't over. He led them back to his cabin. Inside, he gave them water and wrapped them in blankets. They looked around the room like it was another planet, touching the couch, the lights, the small wooden table. "Thank you," the younger one whispered. "You're kind. What's your name?" Ethan asked. "I am Lyra," she said, pointing to herself. "And this is Nira, my sister." Lyra smiled weakly. Nira only watched him, quiet and careful. They didn't say much more that night. Ethan let them sleep in the extra room. He couldn't sleep, though he sat near the window, staring into the trees. What had just happened? Why did they come here? What were they really running from? Outside, the forest was quiet again, but far away. Something else had entered Earth's sky, another light darker this time, moving slowly. It made no sound, and it didn't crash. It was looking hidden truths. The morning sun touched the cabins. Windows, the forest looked peaceful. Birds sang in the trees, but inside Ethan's mind, nothing felt peaceful. The memory of last night, the crash, the glowing sisters. Their begging voices still echoed in his head. He stood near the kitchen, watching the hallway where the two alien girls were sleeping. Or at least, he hoped they were sleeping. Maybe they had already disappeared. Maybe it was all a dream. He slowly walked to the door of the guest room. It was slightly open. Inside, he saw them, still wrapped in the blankets, sitting side by side on the bed, whispering to each other. They both looked up as he entered. Lyra smiled softly. Nira said nothing, her eyes fixed on him like a wild animal. "Studying danger, good morning," Ethan said, unsure what else to say. Lyra nodded. "You gave us shelter. We are thankful." He sat down on a chair, keeping some distance. "What happened to you?" he asked. "Why did you crash here?" Lyra looked down, then slowly began to speak. "We were born on a planet called Valeth," she said. "A beautiful world, full of music, light, and peace," Nira added. "It was until the war." Ethan leaned forward slightly. "What war?" Lyra's eyes filled with sadness. "An ancient race. We called them the Unseen. Came without warning. They took worlds, one by one, moving in silence. Infecting systems like a shadow." Nira clenched her fists. "They came for Valeth. 2, we fought, we lost." Ethan felt a chill. "And you escaped," he said. More as a guess than a question. Lyra nodded. "We were not soldiers. We were scientists. Our family hid us in a deep vault while the cities fell." Nira looked away. "We should have died with them." There was a long silence. Only the sound of wind brushing against the cabin walls. "We stole a pod," Lyra continued. "An escape craft that was not meant to travel far. It broke when it entered Earth's gravity, but we had no choice." Ethan tried to understand. If this other race, the Unseen, if they destroyed your planet, what makes you think Earth is safe? Lyra met his eyes. "They don't know we came here," she said. "We left no trail." Nira finally spoke, voice cold, "But they always find the ones who run." Ethan stood up, walking to the window. His hands trembled slightly. He couldn't believe he was part of something this big. "How do I know you're telling the truth?" he asked. Not turning around, Lyra rose and walked toward him slowly. She touched a small device on her wrist. A soft blue light filled the room, and images appeared in the air. Floating above the device were memory cities made of crystal towers. Skies with 3 suns, people dancing with light in their hands. Then came the darkness. Black ships covering the sky. Strange creatures made of smoke and metal. Screams, explosions, the ground cracking. Ethan watched, silent, his mouth slightly open. The images faded. The light disappeared. No words were needed. "I don't want to bring war here," Lyra said softly. "I just want to live," Nira added. "We can hide, we can stay quiet, but we can't survive without help." Ethan turned toward them. "What do you need?" "Food, clothing, shelter," Lyra said. "But most of all, your silence." Ethan nodded slowly. "I can give you that, for now," he said. "But if anyone finds out government, military, they won't care about your past. They'll treat you like a threat." "We know," Nira whispered. "That's why we begged, that afternoon." Ethan took them deeper into the forest. There was an old hunting shed. Half collapsed but hidden from view. Together, they cleaned it, repaired the roof, and made it livable. It wasn't much, but it was a start. As the sun began to set, Ethan returned to the cabin. He looked back once. The sister stood in the doorway of the shed. Watching him, Lyra waved, a small, hopeful smile on her face. Nira didn't smile, but she nodded, slowly. Like she was beginning to trust him, just a little. Back inside, Ethan finally felt his legs shake. He sat down, trying to breathe. What had he done? He had brought aliens into his world, helped them hide, and somewhere out there, something might be looking for them. Or maybe it was already here. That night, as Ethan lay in bed, his radio crackled. It had been silent for weeks, but now it whispered strange static. A voice came through, barely a whisper. Transmission detected. Possible anomaly. Sector 14, Ethan's heart dropped. Sector 14 was here, right here, in this forest. The hunter arrives. The sky above the forest had turned gray. Clouds gathered like silent giants, hiding the stars and covering the sun. A cold wind moved through the trees, shaking the leaves as if whispering a warning. Ethan stood on his porch, holding a hot cup of coffee, but his hands were shaking. His radio, quiet for weeks, had whispered something the night before. Anomaly. Sector 14, it had said, that was here, his land, his forest, inside the old hunting shed. The sisters were still asleep, or pretending to be. They hadn't spoken much since showing him their past. Ethan didn't blame them, but he had questions. Too many, and no answers. He looked at the sky again. He felt it in his chest. Something was coming. By late afternoon, it started. A strange humming sound, soft at first, then louder. Birds flew from the trees in panic. Animals ran across the field, disappearing into the forest. Ethan grabbed his binoculars and climbed to the old lookout tower near the edge of his property. It creaked as he stepped onto it, the wood tired from age. He raised the lenses, scanning the tree line, the hills beyond, the open sky, and then he saw it. A small black object, floating, not flying. It didn't spin or tilt, just moved forward, like it was pulled by something invisible. No wings, no lights, no sound. But it was looking. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. It wasn't a drone, not a plane, not anything human. It moved like it was alive. It paused above the valley, then dropped lower, slowly. Like it was sniffing the ground, Ethan climbed down fast, ran to the shed. He knocked quickly. "Open up," he said. Now, Lyra opened the door, her face pale. Nira was behind her, eyes already glowing faintly. "It's here, isn't it?" Nira said quietly. Not as a question. "Yes," Ethan said. "Some kind of machine floating above the valley. It's searching." Lyra closed her eyes. "They found us too fast," she whispered. "We left no trail. We hid our signal." Nira shook her head. "We forgot one thing. They can smell fear." Ethan blinked. Confused? "What?" Nira stepped forward, her voice low and sharp. "They are not machines, not really. They are hunters. They use energy, fear, movement, heat. They don't follow tech, they follow life." Ethan stepped back. "Then we're all in danger." Lyra nodded. "We need to move. Now. Together." They grabbed what they could, blankets, food, the small device Lyra used to show her memories. They ran deeper into the woods, toward an old cave Ethan used to explore as a kid. The wind picked up, and the air grew colder. As they moved, Nira suddenly stopped. She raised her hand, her eyes glowing brighter. "It's close," she said. "I can feel it." Ethan turned, looking through the trees, and then he saw it again. The black shape moving between the branches, quiet as death. It was scanning the forest with a red light. Moving slowly back and forth, Lyra grabbed his arm. "Don't move," she whispered. "Don't think, just be still." Ethan's heart was pounding so hard. He was sure the machine would hear it. The shape moved closer. The red light passed over them once, twice, then it stopped. It hovered for a moment, like it was confused, then drifted away. Nira exhaled, her glow fading slightly. Lyra fell to her knees, trembling. That was one of them. Ethan asked, still frozen. Lyra nodded. "A seeker, a first scout. They come before the full hunt begins." Ethan swallowed hard. "You mean there's more?" "Yes," Nira said. "If it marks this place, others will come." They finally reached the cave and hid inside. The stone walls felt safe, like a natural shield. Ethan lit a small fire, careful to keep the smoke low. Lyra sat close to the flame, warming her hands. "I don't understand," she whispered. "We were so careful." Nira looked at Ethan, her voice calm but dark. "This planet is not ready. Your people think they are alone. Ethan stared into the fire. "I didn't ask for this," he said. "I just wanted to help you." "You still can," Lyra said softly, "but only if you're ready to fight." Outside, the wind howled louder, and somewhere beyond the hills, the first hunter called out, a deep, metallic sound, like a scream from the stars. The sisters looked at each other, then at Ethan. "They know." Nira whispered, "They know we are here." The cave was cold. The fire had died down to a quiet orange glow. Ethan sat against the stone wall, staring at the dancing shadows. Lyra slept beside the fire, her face calm but pale. Nira didn't sleep. She stood at the mouth of the cave, watching the trees, her glowing eyes scanning the darkness like a silent guard. Ethan cleared his throat. "You haven't rested." He said. Nira didn't turn. "I don't need to," she answered. "Not when danger is close." Ethan stood up, walked closer. "Why are you really here?" he asked, his voice low. "You told me you were running from war, from something dark. But part of me wonders, are you running or are you hiding something?" Nira turned her head slowly. Her expression didn't change. "You think I'm lying?" she said. More a statement than a question. "I think you're not telling me everything," Ethan replied. "I saw what that seeker did. It nearly found us. You knew exactly how to hide from it, how to make it stop. That wasn't luck." Nira finally stepped away from the entrance and faced him. "Because I used to be one of them," she said calmly. Ethan's heart skipped. "What?" "I was taken," Nira said, "years ago, when I was just a child, during the early days of the invasion. They changed me, trained me, made me feel like I was part of their swarm. But I broke free." Ethan took a step back, his hand tightening near the small knife on his belt. "Why didn't you tell me? Would you have helped me if I had?" she asked. "Would you have believed I wasn't still working for them?" Ethan didn't answer. "I kept it from Lyra, too. For a long time," Nira said. "She doesn't remember what they did to me. They erased her memory after the fall of our home, but I remember everything." Ethan sat back down slowly. The cave suddenly felt smaller, tighter, more dangerous. "So what now?" he asked. "Do I just wait and hope you're still on our side?" "I haven't hurt you," Nira replied. "I haven't called them. I saved you from the Seeker." "But you could still be a trap," Ethan said quietly, "even without knowing it." Nira looked at the fire, her face finally showing something. "New pain? I think about that every day," she whispered. "Sometimes I hear voices that aren't mine. Thoughts that feel wrong, but I fight them every second." They were silent for a long time. Then Lyra stirred from her sleep, slowly sitting up. Her eyes blinked open, calm and trusting. "Is everything okay?" she asked, rubbing her hands together. Ethan looked at Nira. Nira didn't speak. Ethan forced a smile. "Yeah, just talking." Lyra smiled gently, unaware of the storm behind their eyes. "We need to find a better place," she said. "This cave won't protect us forever." Ethan nodded. "There's an old communications bunker, half buried in the hills," he said. "My grandfather used it when he worked for the military. It might still be intact. They left at sunrise." Moving carefully through the forest, avoiding open paths, the sky was heavy with clouds, and the wind whispered through the trees like a warning. As they climbed the hill, Nira walked behind Ethan, always watching. Ethan tried not to look back too much, but he felt her eyes on his back the whole time. They reached the bunker entrance hidden behind thorn bushes. Ethan pushed through, revealing a steel door covered in rust and moss. He entered a code on the old panel, surprised when it still worked. The door opened with a heavy groan. Inside, the air was thick, but the lights flickered on. Old equipment, dust-covered screens, and sealed cabinets filled the room. It was cold, quiet, forgotten, but safe. They closed the door behind them, sealing it shut. Lyra let out a breath of relief. "It's good," she said. "This will work, Ethan." Nodded, but his mind was racing. He looked at Nira again. She didn't seem tired. Or scared, just quiet. As night fell, Ethan sat near one of the old control panels. He found a working battery and connected it to the monitor. Static filled the screen, then shapes. Something was transmitting. He adjusted the signal. A blurry image appeared. Ships, large and black, moving through space. Symbols appeared in the corner. Not human, not Valethan either. It was a third language. Sharp, cold, ancient, Ethan looked. At Nira, her face was pale now. Her body stiff, she whispered one word. They're here. Run, fight, or betray. The screen flickered. Ethan stared at the alien symbols glowing on the old monitor. They moved like living shadows across the screen, shifting and pulsing with dark energy. Nira stood behind him, frozen, her voice barely. A whisper, they're here. Lyra rushed to the monitor, her eyes scanning the shapes. No, she said. It's not just a scout signal. This is a transmission from a warship. Ethan turned sharply. Warship. You said they wouldn't find us. I said I hoped they wouldn't. Lyra answered, her voice shaking, but something triggered them. Maybe the Seeker marked this planet after all. Nira didn't speak. She backed away from the screen, her hands trembling. I felt them before the signal came, like cold claws scraping inside my mind. Ethan looked between the sisters. He had hidden them, protected them, helped them escape. But now, Earth was in danger. He stood up. I need answers, he said. Firmly. Right now, Lyra's eyes met his. I told you everything, she said. We were running, hiding, just trying to survive, but Nira's silence was louder than Lyra's words. Ethan stepped closer to her. What did you feel? Exactly. Nira didn't look at him. I don't know if they're calling me, she said. Or if something inside me remembers them. They changed me once. Maybe I'm still part of their network. You said you broke free, Ethan. Replied, I believed I did, Nira whispered, but now I'm not sure. Silence filled the bunker, heavy and sharp, outside. Thunder rolled through the sky as if the planet itself was warning them. Lyra stepped between them. Ethan, please. She said, we don't have much time. If that ship arrives, it won't ask questions. It will burn everything until it finds us. Ethan rubbed his face, thinking fast. There's a satellite uplink here. Maybe I can send a message to someone. A warning? A signal to Earth's defense network. No, Nira snapped suddenly. You can't. Ethan froze. Why not? If you send a signal now, they'll detect it too, Nira said, stepping closer. The ship will know we're here for sure. It will speed up. It'll bring others. Lyra looked at her sister, confused. But we can't just do nothing. She said, we can't let Earth fall like Valeth. There's another way, Nira said, her voice flat. I can go out, alone. Let them find me instead of you. Ethan's eyes widened. Are you saying, sacrifice yourself? It's not sacrifice if I'm already lost, Nira said, her tone empty. If I'm still connected to them. I'm a threat. Lyra grabbed her arm. No, she said. Don't talk like that. You're my sister. You're not lost. I am, Nira replied, gently pulling away. I've always known it. Ethan felt like the walls were closing in. He couldn't let her walk into death. But he couldn't deny the truth. If she was a beacon, she might be dooming the planet just by staying. He sat down, breathing heavily. I need to think, he said. I need time. But time was no longer their friend. A loud crack shook the bunker. Dust fell from the ceiling. The lights blinked. Outside, something massive had entered the sky. Ethan ran to the narrow viewing hatch. He looked up. His blood ran cold. A dark shape hovered in the clouds. Enormous, silent, blocking out the sun. It didn't look like a ship. It looked like a wound in the sky. They're here, Nira said. Again. But this time, they didn't come to search. They came to end. Ethan turned to the sisters. "What do we do?" Lyra answered, "We run. We find a new place to hide. Deeper, safer." But Neera shook her head. "No more hiding," she said. "They won't stop. If we run, they'll follow." Ethan looked at them both, then at the knife on the table, then at the uplink, blinking red, ready to transmit. He had 3 choices. He could run, he could fight, or he could give them up, betray them to save the planet. His fingers hovered over the keypad, a few words, a single code. And the world would know aliens had landed. The military would arrive, satellites would fire. Nukes would fall, but at what cost? He turned to the sisters. Lyra, full of hope, still. Believing in life, Neera, cold but honest, ready to face death alone. "What would you do if you were me?" He asked quietly. Neither of them answered, because in that moment, they knew this wasn't their choice to make. It was his. Outside, the sky darkened, the ship shifted. The final moment was near, and Ethan's hand hovered, shaking, over the button that would decide all their fates. The truth comes out, Ethan didn't press the button. Not yet. The red light on the uplink blinked steadily, waiting for his choice. But something in his gut told him to wait, just a little longer. The alien ship in the sky hovered like a black sun. Clouds circled around it unnaturally, and lightning sparked along its edges. It made no noise, but the pressure in the air grew. Heavy, as if gravity itself was being pulled upward. Lyra sat against the wall, eyes closed, breathing slowly. She was trying to calm herself, to think, to remember. Neera stood near the exit. Staring at the shadows, her fingers twitched, her jaw was tight. She was listening to something no one else could hear. Ethan turned toward her. "What are they waiting for?" he asked. Neera's voice was distant. "They're not here for both of us," she said. "They're here for one." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" Neera didn't answer, but Lyra opened her eyes slowly. "I think I remember," she whispered. "I think. I'm not who I thought I was." Ethan stepped closer. "What do you mean?" He repeated. Lyra held her head, her fingers pressing into her temples. "When we left Valeth, we were told we were scientists," she said. "That we carried knowledge, data, history. But that wasn't all." Neera turned sharply. "Lyra." "Stop," she said, her voice suddenly full of fear. "No," Lyra said. "It's too late to hide. I remember now, in the vault, before the city fell. Our parents didn't just send us away to survive. They sent something inside. Me." "What are you talking about?" Ethan asked. "A weapon," Lyra said, her voice shaking, "a living code. Buried deep in my mind, they hid it in me. Locked away with memories and light, something the unseen feared." Neera's glow brightened. "That's why they're here," she said. "Not for me. They never marked me. They marked her." Ethan took a step back. "You're carrying a weapon." "It's not physical," Lyra said. "It's something ancient, something powerful. I didn't even know it was there until the ship arrived, and now they've come to take it." Neera added, "Or destroy it before someone else uses it." Lyra looked at Ethan. "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't know. I never wanted to put Earth in danger." Ethan felt the air closing in. Everything he thought he knew had changed again. Neera wasn't the only mystery. Lyra was something else entirely. Suddenly, the ground shook, a low, deep rumble passed beneath their feet. Dust fell from the ceiling of the bunker, and a high-pitched hum filled the air. "They're activating a signal field," Neera said. "They're trying to extract the code remotely," Lyra screamed, grabbing her head as her body glowed with intense blue light. She dropped to her knees, shaking. "There. Inside my mind," she cried. "I can feel them pulling, tearing." Ethan rushed forward, trying to help her. "What do I do?" "Tell me what to do. Disconnect the uplink," Neera shouted. "They're using it as a channel." Ethan turned and ripped the cables from the console. Sparks flying, the hum stopped, and Lyra collapsed to the floor, gasping. The lights in the bunker dimmed, then came back, but the air felt wrong. Charged, angry. "They're going to land," Nira said. "They won't stop now." Lyra looked up, weak but awake. "No," she said. "I won't let them take it. I'll unlock." "The weapon," Ethan stared. "Are you sure?" "It might kill me," she said. "But if I release it, it could destroy the ship." "No," Nira said sharply. "There's another way. You're not doing this alone." She knelt beside Lyra, placing her hand on her sister's forehead. "I can guide you through it," she whispered. "I remember their patterns, their pressure. If I connect with your mind, I can show you the path." Lyra nodded. "Together, then." Ethan watched as the two sisters sat in silence. There. Foreheads nearly touching, a soft glow surrounded them, pulsing gently. He didn't know what was happening, but it felt real, ancient, powerful, outside. The ship began to move. The clouds swirled violently, and a beam of dark light reached toward the ground. Suddenly, Lyra's body arched, her eyes fully white. A wave of energy burst from her chest, shaking the bunker walls. The screens exploded, lights flashed, and the beam from the ship cracked in the air like glass. Ethan covered his face as the ground trembled again. A final wave of blue light exploded outward from the bunker, rushing into the sky like a firestorm. Then, silence. When Ethan opened his eyes, the sisters were lying still. Side by side, the ship above was gone. No sound, no energy, just the quiet hum of wind and broken wires. He crawled toward them. "Lyra," he whispered. "Nira." Lyra blinked slowly, then smiled faintly. "We did it," she whispered. Nira didn't speak. Her eyes were closed, her face calm. But her body didn't move. Ethan stared at her, feeling something twist inside him. "She gave her mind to shield mine," Lyra whispered. "She used her connection to block their attack." A tear rolled down Ethan's cheek. He looked at the sky through the cracked ceiling. They had won, but the cost was heavy. The truth had come out, and now everything had changed. The sky was calm again. Clouds floated gently. The birds had returned. And the wind no longer carried the strange hum of danger. But deep in the forest, inside the ruined bunker, peace felt like a lie. Ethan sat in silence, holding Nira's hand. Her skin was cold but soft, her eyes closed as if only sleeping. Lyra rested against the far wall, her energy drained, her body still glowing faintly from within. "She saved us," Ethan whispered, his voice cracking. "She saved everyone." Lyra nodded weakly. She gave what was left of herself. She said, no hesitation, no fear. Above them, the alien ship was gone. No debris, no sound. Just clear blue sky and broken memories. Lyra slowly stood, her legs shaking. "I have to bury her," she said, "not like a soldier, but like a sister." Together, they carried Nira's body through the woods. The forest floor was soft, the air warm again, as if the world had turned back to normal. But Ethan knew better. Nothing was normal anymore. They found a small patch of earth beside a silver stream. Quiet, hidden, peaceful there. With their bare hands, they dug. No tools, no words. Just soil and tears. When it was done, Lyra placed a piece of crystal beside the grave. A small fragment from their escape pod, now cracked and dim. She hated that place, Lyra said with a small smile. But it brought her here. Ethan looked at her. "What now?" he asked. "Are they really gone?" Lyra didn't answer right away. She knelt by the grave and closed her eyes. Then she spoke. "They were a scout fleet," she said. "Not the whole swarm, but strong enough to destroy a planet. They came for the code in me, but now that it's released, others may come." Ethan frowned. "I thought you destroyed it." "I didn't," Lyra said. "I let it go." The energy wasn't meant to be used as a weapon. It was a warning signal, something our ancestors made long ago. When the swarm attacked the first time, the code was created to tell the galaxy, we are not alone. Ethan felt the hairs on his neck rise, so the signal went out. Lyra nodded. Yes, she said, and someone will answer. They returned to the bunker one last time. Ethan packed a few tools, supplies, and one of the old radios. He looked at Lyra. What will you do? I don't know, she said. I can't go back, and I can't stay here forever. But Earth. It feels alive, and I want to live. Ethan smiled slightly. You can stay with me, he offered, at least until we know what's coming. Lyra gave him a look. Gentle and tired. Are you sure? I've already helped hide aliens, fought off invaders, and buried a space warrior, he said. What's one more day? They laughed, a soft sound, but real. It felt strange to smile after so much loss, but maybe that's what made it important. In the weeks that followed, Lyra lived quietly with Ethan. They repaired the old cabin, grew food in a small garden, and watched the skies each night. Sometimes they said nothing. Sometimes they talked for hours. The forest was kind to them and the world. It did not end, but one night the radio buzzed. It hadn't worked for weeks. Now, it came alive with a soft tone. Ethan sat up in bed. Lyra already awake beside him. The message was short, in a language neither of them fully understood, but its meaning was clear. It wasn't from Earth. It wasn't from the swarm. It was from something else. Lyra stared at the radio with wide eyes. They heard us, she whispered. Someone heard the signal. Ethan didn't ask who or how far away. They were. He just said one thing. Are they coming? Lyra looked up at the stars. I don't know, she said. But not all things in space come to take. Some come to protect. The message repeated, then changed. This time in English, slow and deliberate, to the one who lit the beacon. You are not forgotten. Help is coming. Ethan sat back. Stunned, the future had opened like a new galaxy before him. One full of danger, yes, but also hope, beside him. Lyra closed her eyes and smiled. Maybe Earth wasn't just a hiding place. Maybe it was home.